Yeah. So Tim, I don't want to waste more time on explaining again. So basically, Amazon Redshift, I have told you, it's basically a serverless and fully managed service provided by the AWS. If you can see why you have to use AWS and its benefits, you can go to the documentation, but I can say it's like overall, I can give you overview. It's like it's a data warehouse. Like we have our stores, warehouses, right, where we store our products there. Like that, likewise, data warehouse. It's a warehouse for the data where you keep large data sets. Like you'll keep large data here, and you'll use it for the analyzing using the Amazon Redshift service. So if you can see, basically Amazon Redshift you can use for analytics purpose also. It is OLAP model. So what we can say, it is like it is used for analytics. You are storing the data. What you will do, you will store the data and you have to analyze it. So like I said, if Flipkart and Amazon or Myntra, these guys are using the warehouses. That means they are trying it to store the data and analyze the data. Like they can analyze the data, like how many customers are buying it, how many customers are showing interest, which product is not getting sold, what we should do with this. So it gets the insights, it gets the raw data, and we will get a beautiful transformation using the ETL tools, and then we will try to analyze it. Okay. So basically, you can integrate this Amazon Redshift with Amazon services, many services. So if you see Amazon Redshift, that's a data warehouse from where you can get the data. Amazon itself has many items where you can store the data or you can retrieve the data from. You have AWS S3 buckets in which you will store your data, AWS DynamoDB where you have dynamic databases, AWS Aurora. So AWS Redshift can easily integrate with these because these are internal resources linked to Amazon. So that would be easy for Redshift to integrate with the Amazon services already provided. So we can use its powerful SQL analytic capabilities also. So you can use the SQL query here to query the data. You're storing the data here, right? So in normal Android mobiles or in Google Drive, what we'll do, we'll just go into search box and we'll search for the data, right? What we need with giving the title names or whatever. So like this in Redshift, you can use the SQL, like it uses the SQL to query the data here. Okay. And it is fully managed, I can say. And here in AWS Redshift, what is the advantage is you will only pay for the querying, computing. Only when you're performing some actions, then only you will pay. Just because you created the AWS Redshift clusters, you won't pay for anything for that. So that's the advantages for that. And it is designed for big data analytics, and it basically supports high performance query executions. Okay. And it basically supports the massively parallel processing MPP method, which is like you can process items very parallelly. That reduces your time and gives reduce your data quickly. Let me show you the, see, you will get the data. Basically, that is familiar with SQL, and it does self-tuning. It automatically creates the schemas from for the tables whenever we give some incoming data. So it helps us retrieve the data, I mean schema, table schema itself. Okay. So this is helpful for the insights for the business. This is what a quick overview about AWS Redshift. If I go to the architecture, let me show you. So basically, this is the AWS Redshift. It can be serverless and it can be provisioned also. There are two methods in AWS Redshift. One is serverless and provision. What can be difference? So basically, the key difference is like how they manage the compute resources and pricing. So basically, coming to the AWS Redshift provision, um, you have to do manual setup of the clusters with the fixed number of nodes. You have to create your nodes manually. So basically in serverless, it automatically manages everything. But in provision itself, you have to provision it. You have to manually do it. So it is saying whenever if you have clusters here, in AWS Redshift cluster, you have to manually create this. But in the provision, you don't have to do this. Where here in provision, what we do, we select instances type, like which type we need, large or small, and we configure the compute resources. And basically, we are responsible for scaling, tuning, and performance optimization here. And basically, billing is depends on the active cluster time. So, like I said, only will you will use when you are doing some computing. For example, if this clustering doing some querying, then only you will get charged. If not, you will not get charged for this. Okay. So there are advantages and disadvantages. Here it is like cost optimized and heavy and long running queries you can do, predictable workloads with the consistency query processing needs. You can do on your own, like you can
Mm.
manage it. Okay, so basically, coming to the provision, you can take a scenario like when a company is running a daily financial reports on large data sets that can benefit from a provision cluster for consistent performance here. If you come to the serverless, it is managing itself. So basically, you don't have to do any cluster management. AWS automatically provisions and scales resources based on the demand. We only pay for the compute time here, and ideal for on-demand and unpredictable workloads. So basically, whenever you don't have unpredictable workloads, AWS automatically manages it. Okay. So here, which one this is best for ad hoc command queries and unpredictable workloads. And this is best suited for the startups and small teams that don't want to manage infrastructure. And it is used for business intelligence and analytics also. So here, the example scenario you can take like a marketing team, if it's using Power BI for occasional customer insights, can use Redshift serverless to avoid paying for idle computing time. Okay, for the very short time. So what I can see is like provisioned is for large scale, always on workloads where fine-tuned performance is required. Redshift serverless is ideal for on-demand analytics, where users want to pay only for the actual usages. Here you can use this based on the flexibility and zero maintenance. You can choose serverless. Okay. So let me go into the main concept. So coming to the architecture, if you go to the architecture, if you can see here we have leader node, compute node. Okay. So what I can say here is, if you come to the architecture, Amazon Redshift is basically built on a cluster-based architecture consisting of the components like leader node, compute node. What is this leader node? This leader node manages query processing and distribution. Okay. So receives queries from the clients and optimizes execution, coordinates task distribution across the compute nodes. So you can take it as a team leader. So this team leader, what he is doing, so basically he's sharing the work with the along to the other compute nodes. So you can say a leader node tries to distribute the work between these clusters. So it is optimizing uh, and doing this management between the load, task distribution. And this basically compute nodes are like actual data in columnar format, optimized for analytical queries. So it executes queries in parallel. Uh, I said you right, MPP, massively parallel processing. That's the advantage of Redshift. So your query get queried in that gets computed in multiple clusters. So executes these queries in parallel. So that basically what it does, it reduces the time. It's not only doing in the single one. So when it's doing this the same task in parallel clusters, so it reduces your time for the query processing. And each compute node has multiple slices where data is stored and processed independently. In every slice, data is stored and processed independently. Each cluster is allocated with a memory. That's the important thing. And I can say here you have columnar storage. Columnar storage is it's like unlike traditional row-based call databases. Redshift stores data in columns. This reduces disk input output and speeds up analytic queries. So what I can say is, so normally we store the data in rows, but it stores data in columns. That's the advantage of this columnar storage. So basically, when you store the data in columns, it helps in what I can say in disk spaces and the disk input output and speeds up the query speed analysis of the query. Okay, so this is the basic architecture. So you can understand from this. Yeah, query live data is coming. Redshift machine learning. This is the managed storage system. You're getting data from there. Okay, let me go into the practical now. Let's go to, let me sign in into the console. So if you come here, let me go to the Amazon Redshift. I have already created a cluster. That's why it is showing me cluster. For you guys, it will show you free trial cluster for $300 worth free trial. You can click on that. That creates your cluster to work on. Okay, but it takes little time. Then you can see the screen. So automatically, defaultly, it created a default namespace, default working group here. So if I can come here, in AWS Redshift, there are two types, work group and namespace. Namespace is nothing but a database where you have consist of schema and table information. All this is all database related. You can have in namespace. Working group is like a server which is used to host the dataware databases. So basically, work groups you can say it as servers that host the database, and namespace is nothing but the database that stores your schemas and tables, everything. Okay, so yeah, this is our namespace server, I mean database. Okay, if you can come here, that shows you the analytics here.
No.
You are having free trials here. You can check it here, and you can have to delete it before this time. If not, you'll get billed for this. Let me go into this namespace. Okay, so total user storage is this one, status is available, namespace ID, this is my namespace ID. If I go into the security and encryption, see,
కారం కూడా
go
బాగానే
into the
ఉందమ్మా. నేను
if you go to the
వేయలేదండి.
security and encryption, so basically it says manage IAM roles. I have created IAM role.
నీకు తెలియలేదండి.
So in this
నాకెందుకు తెలుస్తుంది?
practically,
సార్ నాకు తెలియదు.
so in this what I can do is what I can say. Yeah, in this, let me show you the practical. So this is Redshift. So I said like Redshift will store the data. That's a data warehouse. So let me show you loading a data from S3 bucket into the Redshift. That's how I can show you the practical example, a basic one. So for every resource, if it wants to utilize another resource, I said everything needs to be having a IAM role. They need to be assigned with a role. So I want my Redshift to load data from S3. So Redshift have to access S3. So that means Redshift should have access to S3 bucket. So you can say manage role. For you, it would show create IAM role. In my IAM role, see, I'm already having S3 bucket, I think so. S3. Okay. Permissions and policies. Attach policy. S3. I'm giving S3 buckets full permissions. See, now this policy is having S3 bucket access also. If I go back, let me refresh. Yeah. So yeah, now I can access S3 buckets also with this role. So we are planning to get the data from S3 bucket, right? So this is how I am doing this. Let me open this query data. There are multiple things you can do here. You can create a work group. See, I'm actually into Redshift serverless. I'm into the namespace configuration. If I go here, come to the settings, namespace configuration, I'm having work group. I have logged into the namespace because that's the server it's using for host. And we have data backup techniques here. Hmm. We have to connect to it. If you want to connect to the database, we can connect it from here. You come here. We'll try to establish a connection. If it's already used recent connection, we will give it here. If you want to create a new connection, we'll come here and we'll try to give the database name and the database endpoint so that we can connect with the database to which we want to connect. Okay. And security and the encryption, basically, this is the IAM role we are doing data shares, zero ETL integrations. We can do the integrations that we need here. There are resource policies and multiple things here. Okay, so let me go into the query data. I said Redshift can retrieve the data, store the data, and we can query the data also, analyze the data also. We can query the data also here. So Redshift, we just now created a cluster. Then how can we query the data? We can query the data from the S3 bucket. Let's see how it works. I have clicked on query data. Okay, I have clicked on this. So basically, you can create a table, or or you can load the already existing data, or you can create the sample data CS. Let me load the data from the S3, like I was planning to load the data from the S3. So before that, I already said you guys to, if you want to work with S3, if you guys don't have existing buckets, just go through S3. I have created a Redshift bucket here, or if you want to create a new one, just go here, give the general purpose bucket name. Or if you want to choose already existing bucket, just click here and keep all default one to yes, and then create a bucket. Then you'll get a bucket like this. And inside this bucket, I have kept a CSV file so that I want to load that data. Let's see how Redshift is creating schemas and all those things automatically. So I already have some data in my S3 bucket. I just wanted to connect that data. So I can choose load data because I wanted to load the data. You can create new data also, you can create tables also. So it is saying, okay, load data from S3 bucket or load from local file. If you have local file also, you can load from there. That's not a big deal. So I am selecting load from S3 bucket. If you have to come browse, if you have multiple buckets, choose accordingly. I have only one bucket, I am choosing this one, and it automatically takes this one even if I don't take, because only one file is there. And it is asking for the location, in which location your data is there. I'm sorry, and I have closed the S3 one. So if you go into the S3 bucket, it will show you at the top, like I'm in United States, Ohio. If I come back here, it's in US East 2. Okay, yeah, I can come here. So file location US East 2. Okay, file format, my format is in CSV, right? Delimiter character, so basically it specifies the single ASCII character. See, if my file is having something like JSON format, it may be containing commas and all those things. So I can say my items are getting divided by comma. You can specify through which your data is getting divided, and ignore head over rows. For example, if you are having multiple rows, if you want to ignore the first row, you can just give one so that it ignores the first row, because in the first row you will be having nothing but first name, last name, this the items. Before that row, you may be having exact data. So to ignore that titles or field names, just ignoring first row. Okay, then click next. You want to load into the existing table. If you already have created a table, you have to load into the table. But if you want to load a new table, just click on load new table. See, just understand this. In my CSV file, I haven't created anything. I have did anything. Load new table. I have just given it path. It is asking where you wanted to do, like schema, public one. What's the table name you want to create? Sample session one. That's the table name I wanted to create. So we are creating a table here. Remember, and if you see, we have data in S3, we are storing it into the Redshift in a table. So for the table, we are giving a table name and schema where you want it to store. I want to store in public database. It's basically defaultly dev. So when you created a cluster, so defaultly it creates a database in dev. Okay. So we're just doing dev here, serverless, because AWS is managing everything. Choose IAM role. We have to choose this IAM role to which in which S3 access is also assigned so that Redshift can take directly data from S3 here. Okay. This is how we are doing here. If you come here down, see, these are the column names that automatically giving. Did we did anything? No, right? I just given file name, CSV file name from the CSV file. It is automatically reading this. I haven't did anything. It is automatically reading. It is saying, hey, Abdul, in that table, in that CSV file you given, there is a table. I mean, there is a format like this. There are column names, this. If you go and open that CSV file, you can find this. And it is saying, here, that's an integer type, industry aggregation, that's a variable and character also. These are there. You can even modify, like data type. It's real, varchar, integer, but it automatically takes data from there. But you can change, modify items here also. And you can select this, and if you can give primary key, click on primary key. That means you are saying this column and this item is like primary key. Okay. So you can assign the default values and you can assign the size, like you can assign which one is unique key and which one is the primary key when which one is not, and you can then create a table. Sorry, table details. Okay, columns. Yeah. Okay. It is asking you which type of items you want to modify. That's it. See, review and load the data. It is saying, hey, we are creating a table in a database this and schema this, and the table name will be this, and this is the table summary. Okay. Now we are clicking the data, load data. So our main data gets loaded in this table with these column names. Let me show you here. Summary. It is saying loaded into the table sample session 1 completed. 50,985 records loaded successfully. What has been loaded? Table schema is there. It took the schema, I mean, from the CSV file into that schema table, like using that columns, it loaded the data, entire data. So we can even query that here. Select star all from where? It will show you error because we are using a new line, but yet we are not giving any. This, I believe now we won't get any error. See, we got the data. So basically here we have to use the semicolon. So basically copy is the command. So if you see here, I haven't given this line. It automatically took this line. So from the logics we have given, we have selected right from take from the S3 bucket, all these things. So basically it automatically generated a query here. Copy, because we are saying copy data from there. Copy to this table from copy to this database schema to this table that we're newly creating. Where I have to from S3 bucket, S3 this bucket name, and S that we have that IAM role, right? Specifically that's the IAM role here, and the format of that file is CSV. See, all we have selected using just down arrows and entered, right? But it is generating a script. So there are two different ways, and region as US is two. So if you can see here, these are nothing. Let me show you before this. Okay, so you from this what you understood, you don't have to go and click here. From bucket name, CSV, delimiter, you can write it in script format also. So for example, if you have the script ready, you can just replace the bucket name and IAM role name and all these items here. Instead of doing this here, you can even create a new table on your own. Okay, so this is our loaded data. If you can see, like it said, here is in integer. This is these columns are varchar. It contains the variable character. So if you can see, it consists of numbers also. So this is like string. It's That's why they have given varchar there. See, this is how we are loading data from S3 to the Redshift. So we haven't even created any schema. So automatically our schema is getting created. That's getting stored in the database. That is also getting helped by AWS Redshifts that automatically created a schema. This is very short example I can say. In real, you'll be having the multiple data. Like every day you will be getting data. Continuously you'll be getting data. You will be dealing with the data which is daily getting into your buckets. You have to manage those data also. I'm just talking about one bucket to which you are getting the data. Okay. So basically, this is the sample understanding I wanted to give it to you. So you can see this is just about a single database. I mean, single CSV file. If you have multiple CSV files, also you can retrieve it here. You can retrieve the tables, columns, and you can query using the SQL. Like I said, if you can see, this is using the SQL query, not any other queries like KQL and all those things. I just selected from here, and you can play with this table names. You can just select like, hey, I need just variable name which is starting with D. If you have some what I can say Flipkart, you can just give a logic like, hey, in year 2023, in month Dasara, like you have, for example, if you had festival in January, you can just select the January month and you can just run like profit percentage and all these things, so that it will automatically tries to help you only giving the columns, or I mean results you want, from which you can use that data to analyze. Like you can analyze, okay, this is happening, this is what happening. So you can store the data in Redshift and you can use it to analyze, and you can use this Redshift to integrate with multiple AWS resources. You have multiple AWS resources like S3. I have just shown you the sample of S3. There are dynamic Dynamo databases and many items. Like Redshift, what you have in other platforms, you have Snowflake, you have big data, that is of GCP. So there are other platforms also. I have tried to show you AWS Redshift because this is also very good platform where AWS manages everything. If you go to serverless, like I shown you, it is managing everything. I haven't did anything, right? So Redshift AWS will take care of all these items. So whenever you're getting large data or unpredicted data, even if you're getting in bulk, basically AWS will automatically manages it. But whereas in provision, you have to manage everything on your own. Okay, so that's the difference. So if you wanted to go in deep, Hmm, I can go deep, but coming to the demands which I'm getting in my WhatsApp. So basically, I try to cover the concepts like AWS Glue and this Redshift and all these items. So Redshift also, if I can go, there is still a lot more. Even if I talked on Redshift for 2 hours, it will not end. That's how big is Redshift. So basically, from tomorrow, I'm planning to discuss on take a sessions on SQL. um, Let me see once. Last time I have given a poll in WhatsApp, so let me see which is top after the cloud platform. I'll try to take sessions on that tomorrow. So I'm planning on taking SQL from tomorrow. But if you guys felt like I should discuss more compared to that, like if you guys have any suggestions, you can still give it to me personally to discuss it after the AWS. So I can say these are the basic things which you need before going to any interviews, like minimum basic concepts you need. There are many other concepts like AWS CloudWatch, like AWS CloudFront. Many items are there, small items. I can discuss those also if you guys want. But yeah, these are the basic items about networking, operating system, servers, and VPCs, and Redshift, and Glue, and AWS Lambda that I have discussed. So there are wide resources. You can use it or using the free trials. We can work on it. Yeah, thank you. That's it for today.